Hey guys, I'm Simon. I'm the sound designer on NS2. So all the sounds you hear in the game, they were made by me. Okay, so I started working on natural selection 2 about 2.5 years ago. So basically the first thing I did was that teaser trailer with the honors. So yeah, so that was the first thing they got me to do, and then after I finished that I started working on the game. So it's been a really cool ride the whole time. So yeah. So I'm in Australia, Sydney, and so not in the office, not in San Francisco. I work off-site. I'm a contractor. And yeah. Okay, how many individual sounds? There's many. There's probably 3 times the amount that NS1 had. So it's around 1,500 last time I checked. That's a rough number, because there's no easy way to really count all of them. But yeah, 1.5. Okay, so for like a AAA title, the sound team would be definitely a lot bigger than just me. I'm not too sure. I would imagine there's at least like 5 or 6 people working there full time. Alright, so I guess the main thing, the most important thing I've got is these speakers, KRK Rockets. They're really good. They give like a really clean sound, like a very authentic sound. Because a lot of like stereo speakers, they tend to, they pump up the bass to make it sound really cool in the store, but it's not a natural sound. So these have like a really nice natural sound. Okay, I use this little thing a lot. It's a little Olympus LS10. It's a little portable recorder. It's got its own built-in mics, but what I usually do is I run a better mic through it, running through this guy, this little sound devices thing, which is a little preamp for the mics. And yeah, so I use these in combination to record a lot of stuff. Alright, this stuff here, alright, so this is just like a little MIDI keyboard. So what it does is, like, if I want to control anything, like any virtual instruments or effects, I tie them to these knobs so I don't have to use the mouse, and I just, tweak it this way. But mainly I like that because it's got pretty lights. I like it to have lights. Okay, how did I start out in sound? Well, I started in music. I was doing a lot of music production, like electronic music, trance and industrial and stuff like that. And I think what happened is I was doing a fine arts course, and a lot of fine arts students, they do sound art, which is they picked up a sequencer and they can make it do a few sounds, and all of a sudden they're an artist. And that kind of, for me, that was like, alright, like I'm hearing much better results in film and in sound and in games. So after playing Doom 3, I realized that games are actually an art form, and as a sound guy, I could be creative. I could do my art, and I could get paid, and people would enjoy what I do. So that's how I got into it. And then after that, I just decided I'm gonna make a little demo reel, and that's what I did. And the guys at Unknown World saw it, and they liked it, and they got me to do their trailer. So that's how I got started. How would I go about creating a sound? Well, it really depends on what sort of sound it is. Usually, like, say it has to be synced to an animation, like, then I'll go in, I'll record the animation in Fraps or something, and then I'll put in my sequencer, and then, I'll go from there. And so I'm using like sound libraries, commercial sound libraries, and I'm recording a lot of sounds myself. And yeah, so I mean, a lot of it is like, a lot of the sounds don't actually exist in the real world. So like, there's no such thing as a skulk. So I've got to layer those sounds. So I've got to get something that might sound similar, and then mix it with something else and process it. And it's just a whole bunch of iteration until I get something that sounds good. What I usually do is, like, if I have to make a new sound now, I actually, because there's already a lot of sounds made for NS2, I actually end up using a lot of the sounds that already exist to make new sounds. So, so like that's the armory opening and closing and I've actually used that sound in the sentry turret when it comes up and opens up. So yeah, so what I actually end up doing is using a lot of the sounds that have already been made to make new sounds. So I use them kind of like a sound library, and what that does is that it gives me a more of a consistent feel across all of the sounds, and it also saves a lot of time, so I don't have to keep reinventing the wheel each time I want to make a sound. Yeah.
Mate, what's the furthest, like, what's the most far away place you've gone to record a sound that you wanted to get?
Alright, so the furthest I've gone to record a sound, okay, I went out to the country. I don't exactly remember what the name of the place was, but there was an air show there not long ago, and they had F-18s and, you know, all these really cool warplanes flying around. So I recorded some of those, and those are going into the jetpack sound. So yeah, I actually went for the air show, not just for recording, but you know, I did go for recording too. So the hardest part of sound design. Okay, well, I think some of the challenges with making sound for any game is the fact that you're making a sound in isolation, which then needs to work well with any other sound in the game. So that's actually really tricky, because you never know what sound is going to be triggered when, so you have to assume that any sound can be played with any other sound. So the hardest thing, I think, is to get sounds to feel consistent and to feel as part of a whole. Yeah, because usually what happens is, you know, when you're making a sound, you make it from, you know, a whole bunch of different sounds that were recorded at different times in different rooms, and then you have to make all of those, you know, 1,500 sounds feel like a coherent whole, like a coherent soundscape. So I think that's a big challenge in game audio.